4 former chiefs of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and 42 retired career diplomats endorsed Vice President Leni Robredo's bid for Malacanang. In a statement of support released Tuesday, February 1, the former government officials say the next president must have a vision of greatness, prosperity, independence, and self-respect for the Philippines. The statement is also signed by former cabinet secretaries and officials of former President Benigno Aquino. They say the next president must have respect for human rights and rule of law. They add the next commander-in-chief must have a leadership committed to protecting our national sovereignty and one that earns the respect of the community of nations. Among the signatories are 4 military generals who commanded the AFP under Aquino's term between 2010 to 2016: Emmanuel Bautista, Jesse De Losa, Hernando Iriberri, and Eduardo Oban Jr. Former Interior Secretary Mar Rojas is also backing Robredo's candidacy. He was the Liberal Party standard-bearer in the 2016 presidential race and picked the initially reluctant Robredo to be his running mate. COMELEC Commissioner Rowena Guanzon hits outgoing Chairman Sheriff Abbas for supposedly failing to intervene in her feud with Commissioner Ferolino. In an interview Tuesday, February 1, Guanzon says Abbas should have exerted leadership by urging Ferolino to release the ruling on Bongbong Marcos' disqualification case. Guanzon earlier accused Ferolino of deliberately delaying the COMELEC First Division ruling on the Marcos disqualification case so her vote would not be counted. Guanzon, in a separate opinion, votes to disqualify Marcos in the presidential race. Both Guanzon and Abbas are retiring on Wednesday, February 2. In an interview with Teleradio, former COMELEC Commissioner Lucenito Tagle also underscores the role of Abbas in resolving the internal row. Tagle says the chairman should intervene and make his position on the matter known, saying the integrity of the COMELEC is being damaged because of the infighting. Ferolino, who is the ponente or writer of the ruling, maintains there is no delay in the ruling. She urges Guanzon to stop conditioning the minds of the public. But Guanzon cites an internal policy to compel Ferolino to promulgate a ruling 15 days after the case was deemed submitted for resolution. Ferolino argues she is handling a complex case, specifically 3 petitions against Marcos consolidated into one.
Need more context, clarity, and perspective? Get the full picture with Rappler Plus. With exclusive content and events, you'll get an opportunity to discuss issues with reporters, experts, and featured guests while helping Rappler continue its fearless journalism. Join now.
Ormoc City Mayor Richard Gomez and his wife, late 4th District Representative Lucy Torres Gomez, formally endorsed the presidential bid of Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. The celebrity couple makes the announcement a day after a lunch meeting with Marcos Jr. at a restaurant in Quezon City Monday, January 31. On Tuesday, February 1, Gomez shares a Facebook post officially endorsing Marcos Jr.'s presidential bid, saying he was the only one who helped Ormoc City during disasters and difficult times. Torres Gomez earlier expressed her support for Marcos Jr. during the latter's appearance with Anak Kalusugan Representative Mike Defensor on her SMNI news channel show Point of Order. She says Marcos Jr. is the most vilified because he is the most popular. In 2016, the celebrity couple also expressed their support for the vice presidential bid of Marcos Jr. Meanwhile, controversial pastor Apollo Quiboloy also officially endorses the tandem of Marcos and Sara Duterte in the 2022 elections. Quiboloy is indicted for sex trafficking charges in the US and is accused of abuse by his former church members. The Philippines ends 2021 with debt amounting to 11.7 trillion pesos. Latest data from the Bureau of Treasury shows this figure is almost 2 trillion pesos or 19.7% more than the 9.8 trillion pesos recorded by the end of 2020. The debt to gross domestic product ratio stands at 60.5%, higher than the 54.6% in 2020. The Bureau of Treasury says this is still within the accepted sustainable threshold as the economy continues to recover from the effects of the pandemic. Debt sourced domestically amounts to 8.17 trillion pesos, 22% higher than the end 2020 level, but still in line with the government's borrowing program. Meanwhile, external debt grew 14.8% to 3.56 trillion pesos. Experts earlier noted the swelling of financial obligations will be among the first issues the next president will face. Finance Secretary Sonny Dominguez earlier said the economy will need to grow at least 6% per year to bring down the debt level to around 40% of GDP. The New York Times announces Tuesday, February 1, it bought the online word puzzle hit Wordle. The game was bought from Josh Wardle, a software engineer who launched it in October 2021 for a price in the low seven figures. NYT says the game will initially remain free and is a part of the company's quest to increase digital subscriptions to 10 million by 2025. Wardle earlier told the New York Times he created Wordle after he and his partner got into the Times word games during the pandemic. The games play a big part in Wordle's origins, and the purchase feels very natural to me. On Twitter, Wardle says he is working with NYT to make sure players' wins and streaks will be preserved.